Good morning, Civil and Grenadines. The time is now 7:14, soon to be 7:15. And welcome to Activated Mornings this morning. Well, first of all, good morning to...
You're not telling me good morning.
Sorry, good morning, Roleza.
Thank you. Ari, good morning
Good
to
morning to everyone within the sound of my voice. Good morning to those getting ready for work, for school. Good morning to Duppy and the staff over at Thirsty, the ones locked in the UK, the ones locked in New York. Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday. What's Tuesday?
No, what I want to really tell you on air, Ari, is you could at least tell me to dress up nice today, though. We look a little out of sync this morning. You know, you dressed up nice and you came in smelling nice too. So just saying that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So the first thing we want to get into is the what was the name of this thing last night?
It is called, I have to write it down because it's kind of long. Well, not kind of long. It is called the Prime Ministerial Advisory Council on Youth, right? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. So there were about, I don't even remember.
The total
number of persons. And I had the program there. And
I was wondering, okay, because I actually needed to see the program. But you were in attendance.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, and what are your general thoughts in relation to everything? The activity, the event?
It was a well put together ceremony. You heard the stuff that you expected to hear. The Prime Minister went on, I don't want to say a rant, because it wasn't a rant. He went on to speak about what the government has done for youth and the attention that they're paying to youth and stuff like that. But you will hear murmurs in the crowd and you hear murmurs when you're on the street. Like, people say that there's still a disconnect between the government and the young people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And you think it's just a disconnect between the government or just older folks in general?
I think it could be both. It could be both. But I'm really looking forward to see what these young people are going to offer in their advisory roles. Because I feel like as much as they try, there's still... the connection still isn't there when it comes to dealing with the youth.
All right. Well, just to share my thoughts on it. I looked at the ceremony last night. What was interesting for me, and this isn't no way knocking the organizers or anything, but I found that it seemed a bit mellow, as in mellow in the sense of, I don't know if persons were tired because it was an after work event, but I didn't feel like that sort of excitement or exuberance, I suppose, as I would expect to see with an audience of young people or an activity of and about young people, right? I am all for what the program is supposed to stand for, the committee is supposed to stand for. But again, as I said initially, when I heard of it, it's one thing for you to say that you are having a youth advisory council, but are you necessarily going to have instances where the older persons are actually going to listen to the words of the young persons, of the youth, right? It's all well and good, yes, to have an advisory council. I am absolutely not knocking it. I was very pleased to see so many young persons being put forward and being nominated and accepting positions on the committee. But I as with many things, we know that elections is coming up in about 2 years' time. And I do not wish for something like this to become politicized. I do not wish for it to just be a show in terms of making it seem as though, okay, so yes, we are of and about the youth, but it's just to say that there is a committee, and a committee that is not necessarily, even though they propose, things, or they propose activities, or they propose even thoughts that they have to go towards policy development, that they're not going to fall by the wayside. What we tend to find in politics is that there is, for the most part, a national agenda, and we are a country of limited resources, financial resources in particular, and it is all thoughts or all policies that really should be in place are not going to be implemented just because of that financial constraint, right? So I am truly hoping that, and I know that I started off in a maybe in a slightly negative way, but it's really the reality of the situation. And as I said, I am not knocking what the committee is supposed to stand for. I would have really and truly preferred it not to have necessarily been a committee that was put forward, let's say, by the government, as opposed to maybe like a grassroots organization, because I would not want to see for something like this to be heavily politically influenced, one side or the other. And another question that I have is it to some extent that this new committee, is it going to replace what I would have grown up with, knowing what the National Youth Council was all about, right? But I'm quite happy for the persons who were nominated. There were several familiar faces. Our very own Crystal Oliver is also on the committee, and she chaired last night. And Crystal, I know that you had a hard job, and I'm not just saying this because you're our co-host. I know that you had a little bit of a hard job, and you did try to evoke some emotions, or to get some emotions coming out from the participants, by being yourself, Crystal, being your natural self, by being funny and so forth. But I really wasn't sure what was happening with the audience in particular. I don't know if they were tired or what, but that was it. But that's just my part on that. But for the persons who have been nominated and who have accepted positions on the committee, I look forward to hearing more about what you have, your plans proposed. I trust that the budget that you're going to put forward, that you are going to get, if not all of it, most of the funds allocated, so that you can go forward and be the voice or the representation that many youth in Vinci seem to think that they don't necessarily have. And I said a mouthful there, Ari, so yeah.
Let's see. I was trying to find the story since I left my program at home. Oh, okay, I found it. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again, that I believe that the persons that have been selected for this committee, very capable persons, and I know a lot of people believe that these are political positions. It doesn't have to be so, because a lot of these people are professionals in their different sectors. So some of the names were Senator Shaquille Bob, who is the parliamentary secretary, Shaquille Simmons, Amber Glasgow, Rodan John, Christine Mofford, Derona Burke, Kwesi Allen, Ulrika McKenzie, Dr. Sharina Slater, who is in charge of the professions, Makita Green, agriculture, Zeno Lewis, sports, David Rose, or is it Roos? Culture, John Keel, health, Cenas Hines, information technology, Zulika Lewis, tourism and hospitality, Nafessa Richardson, climate change, John Campbell, housing, Dylan Oliver, Grenadines, Crystal Oliver, creative industries, Storm Gonzalez, business and entrepreneurship, Sophia Jackson, labor, Shana Monroe, media, Kewana Edwards, church, Tamira Brown, regional integration and foreign policy, Nyla De Freitas, diaspora, Cavill Hazelwood, education. But a question I have, and I don't know. I don't think I heard it mentioned last night. I wonder when this council will come into effect. Because I heard mention, well, the chairman said it himself, that Rodan John is in Taiwan pursuing studies, and he would not be on island until January. I wonder if that means that the council would begin operations in January.
I doubt they would necessarily hold things up on account of him. I mean, You don't have to be
It's
physically
not on
here.
account of
You
him.
don't no. Well, you don't have to be physically here as well for you to, let's say, attend a meeting. It could be held virtually or, and all of that. So
Yeah, I'm not saying it's because of
mhm.
him. It's with his absence. I'm wondering if the the comfort he felt in being absent, not even being present virtually, means that they would be starting at the beginning of the year as opposed to immediately.
Well, maybe. Oh, but I mean, I want to believe that they're starting right away, even if it's just to have preliminary meetings, put their budget together, put their calendar of activities together, thrash out ideas, get influences or thoughts, and just start to pull information together as a collective group. So, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. But congrats to everyone on this committee. I look forward to see what you have to offer. But someone mentioned to me last night as I was in the crowd. What are the optics for something like this? Is it good? Is it bad? The
Optics
people are
on whose side? The
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 committee,
persons the
the
persons on
persons,
the
yeah.
committee. So this is what I was saying about I'm hoping that it's not going to be politicized, right? Because number one, we can't necessarily assume that the persons who are on the committee are necessarily supporters of the ULP party. Whether or not they are, to me, it's really of no consequence, right? What it should be is that you have persons who are open-minded, who are unbiased, who have a national agenda or would like to see things happen nationally. That they wish to propose, right? It's not about, for me, a party, but it should be about national development. And many times young persons feel that their voices are marginalized, that they're sidelined, their opinions. As we stated before here on this program, many persons come back from studying with all their excitement, all their exuberance. They want to make that difference, So let's hope that this is a step towards them feeling as if they are a part of the overall national development.
Well, you mentioned that you believe it should have been a grassroots type thing.
I would
Who
have
would have
preferred
funded it? Funded,
grass.
sorry.
Well, that's the thing with grassroots organizations. You can either many times persons solicit funds from the general public, like community-based service organizations. They get money through from the general public. You could even probably get grants depending on what the cause is about. So, yeah.
I feel like the general public is interested in this at this present stage.
Okay, so let me put it to you though. How do you feel about it as a young person?
Indifferent.
Yeah.
I do feel like everybody whose name I mentioned, I feel like they're capable and I feel like they are going to put in the work in their relative fields. But it's just another headline to me. As a young person, I could say, oh, okay, there's an advisory council. Okay.
Yeah. So this is why I said I'm not hoping that it's not going to be used as an election tool just to say that we have it. But they're actually going to be listening to the voices of the young persons, because these persons are professionals in their own right, as you have indicated, but even when you see within our workplace environment, many times young persons may have ideas, but because somebody has been there for a longer period of time, the younger person feels as though, number one, they can't voice their opinion, and number two, when they do, they are pushed aside, as in their opinion or their voices, it doesn't matter. Or they're telling you, well, you just come, you don't know how things go. And one of the things that you tend to hear older persons say a lot is, this is how it's always been done. Now, it being always done that way doesn't necessarily make it correct, or it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be improved, right? So this is where having young persons and listening to young persons is also a good thing, because you get you see things from a different perspective, from a different angle. So, older folks shouldn't necessarily feel threatened by young people putting forward their voices or putting forward their opinions, because they're the ones who are a little bit, quote unquote, more in the world, and they're seeing the changes, or having, let's say, return from studying, etc. They've been exposed to different things. So if we're talking about a progressive nation, then we have to listen to both sides, both the voices of the young and incorporate the voices of experience, which are the older persons.
Yeah, well, once again, congrats to everyone, and I really look forward to see what's going to become of this council, what changes are going to be made, how you're going to advise Parliament. I am genuinely curious to see the road that this will take this morning.
Yeah.
The time is now 7:30. We'll break here and we'll be back at 7:35 for traffic talk, followed by commentary by Cian Marshall.
Let's get ready to ride!